Good morning, people. Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Yes, this is Spirit Journey. Oh, yeah, I've been up for about maybe an hour now. Good morning. Yes, good morning. Oh, wow. It all of a sudden, the sky, I think it's raining right now. Like it was cloudy, but then this film, like a swat. It's raining. It was funny. I checked my app. Like I had just turned my head for a moment and then looked up again, and then everything was like white because it's raining. Yeah, it says only 50% chance of raining. It's raining. It's actually raining. Go figure. Yes, good morning. And yes, I'm still in bed today. Yes, good morning. Happy Wednesday, people. And yeah, I got a new clock. Look right there. I love it. I love it. Let's see if I can zoom in. Look at that. Isn't it great? You get the day of the week, the time, um, the full date, and even about the phase of the moon on the bottom right. Oh, I love it. I love it. So that's what it's going to be. I am fascinated with time. Yeah, I'm trying to get my mouth near the mic. Um, my attachment to do the time. Yeah, I bought, let's see here, sorry. I bought this thing, this cord, to charge the phone. It's 6 feet long, so it barely, it just makes it, but um, sometimes it doesn't work fully. But either way, that's in, and the power is low. But I'm just hoping that it's able to get the juice to at least do this live stream. So if it by chance disconnects, you know why. Yeah, I think this attachment that I had to it, it was a coupler that it was plugged into, and possibly the coupler, it allows you to charge it and have another, my earphones on, but it's not charging, so it might actually be faulty, even though it's relatively new. I hardly ever used it. But either way, good morning, good morning, good morning. Yes, today's Wednesday, June 28th, 2023. And it's 5:25 in the morning. And people, in 2 more minutes, it's going to be sunrise. Yes, good morning, sunrise. Good morning. Yes, when it comes in, yeah, 5:25 a.m. In 2 more minutes, it's going to be sunrise. So when sunrise hits, I'll say happy sunrise. Yes, I'm just fascinated with time, and I like, I don't know, my focus on time. It's a way for me to uh, get grounded. It's some you need a focal point in life, something to make you, what you stand on. And one way of doing it is knowing what time it is. Hey, what time is it? Yeah, in every sense of the word, people. What time is it? So yes, in 2 minutes, or now 1 more minute, as you see there, it'll be sunrise. So I'm looking at the screen, and sometimes not really, if I'm not focused on the clock, whatever, but either way. So when you notice that it's 5:27 a.m., you could write in the chat, "Happy sunrise." Okay, yeah. So yes, I'm kind of reminiscent. Days like this, okay, it's raining or drizzling, and I get very retrospective, and I know it's very interesting. Well, I woke up now about over an hour ago, Yeah, oh, there it goes. Happy sunrise. It's 5:27 a.m. New York City time. Happy, happy sunrise. Yeah, I just gotta introduce that. I love time. I love time. Even though they say time is an illusion, they're right. You know, there's one thing with time, you can't like reel it back or go forward. It is, but we use it to navigate in our lives, and it helps me like try because you know when you get older, you know time gets more gray. It gets gray in the sense that you start to forget because as you get older, you know the exact time for this or that. It really isn't important, you know. Um, and we don't remember the same way. We start to think in terms of gray. Um, so just everything kind of starts to blend in with one another. From one day, one is it kind of becomes all one. But I'm into time, and I like to know. Maybe it's a girly thing, but I like to know what you know, like exactly when this or that happened, and I like to document things. So that's just me. I've always been this way, but more pronounced, you know, since my early youth. But yes, I was dreaming today, and that's what led me to do this live stream. Yeah, I dreamt about my old job. Any of you, yes, good morning, viewer, good morning, happy sunrise. Someone says 5:27 a.m. today, 5:28 a.m. now. Oh, now it's 5:29. But either way, good morning, viewer. Um, yeah, I hope you guys could hear me. I have the mic near my face. Um, I have to try to get, oh, I'm getting another device, those cords that you know to charge at the same time you're using it. This one's going to be a little longer and it has this swivel. Yeah, I'll show it to you when it comes in. Yeah, I should be getting it shortly. So anyway, let me get back to what I was saying. Yeah, I feel very reminiscent. I woke up from dreaming about my old job. Any of you, you remember your first job? Yeah, I got my first job. Um, a relative of a family friend. Yeah, I yeah, I hardly know her, but it was very nice of her to do that. Yeah, I was as green could be, boy. And I worked for the city. She was able to get my name on a list, and really nice of her. And I was 17 years old, and it's approaching 43 years ago, people. 43 years. I started working for the first time. Um, my first paying job, you know, I mean, outside of my house, you know, where I live, you know, with my folks. Uh, yeah, it was my first job is started in August. I don't remember the day in August it was, but the first 3 days we were at a different location. They were packing, and I was assigned this department. I'm not going to say the name of the company. It was working for the city of New York, and it was one of those dead end jobs. You have uh, people of I'm just gonna say people of the. I mean, maybe I should be careful how I word it. I mean, it's one of those jobs. The city jobs. It's like anything goes. You wear what you feel like wearing, um, and it's a little sleazy. it was what it was. And yeah, anything goes, basically. And these other people, you know, you had, yeah, this was in 1980, the summer of 1980, and you had people, this was after the civil rights movement, and I think this is really something to put things in perspective. Summer of 1980, and you had women and minorities, slash people of color, slash black people. Yeah, back then in New York City, blacks were the second largest group. Whites were the largest number. And working for the city, mostly whites were in supervisory management. But my family, my parents' friend. I'm sorry, my parents' friend's niece had the ability to hire people, and she, and back in those days, and I would love to be able to say thank you to her. Um, yeah, I just was back then. I just did what I was told. I remember they say, okay, you got a job. You get, this is how you get the job. That's it. I just was very passive back then. Very, very passive. I was afraid of people. I was afraid of adults. Adults to me were people who could get you in trouble and beat you. That's how I saw adults. I was afraid of adults, afraid of authority, and you just do what you're told. Do what you're told. And I was told, you go to this job. And I did. And the first 3 days, it was um, in Park Avenue South. So that location would be like in the 20s, the lower 20s, um, on Park Avenue. And yeah, very uh, business district. And we were there for 3 days, and they were packing to be relocated to the new spot in the village, the heart of the village, which I fell in love with. It's a different story now. It's whole character change. Yeah, I'm old school. I miss the old system, the businesses that they had out there. Yeah, it's in the middle of the village, and um, you had all those trendy stores. They were like this strip had like the Rocky Horror Show vibe to it. Anything goes neighborhood, anything goes. And they had pizza stores. Pizza back then was very, very good. And you had the front entrance and you had the back entrance. And the back entrance, um, you don't want, if people, maybe they came in a little late from lunch, they had to race back in and take the back entrance. Yeah, now buildings are more secure. Yeah, see, but things back then, we didn't have a worry about the, TERRORISM. I hope I spelled it right. We didn't have that fear. So, people come and go, enter and exit buildings. And we had a clock in. And I remember that. So, well, anyways, so my first job now, I'm still 17 years old, fresh out of high school. Yeah, yeah. So high school, I graduated like in 1980. This was, I think the last day of school was sometime in June. Like even though you go to the graduation, but you still had to report to school for a couple of days, and it was June, I remember, you know. And then in August, um, family, friends, niece uh, put my name on the list. I got my first job, and and then in September, and I think it was September 11th, I started the first day of college. Oh God, what a horror that was. Yeah, back in those days, things were on paper. You get it was a computer printout, and it'd be on the floor. You had to like grab on the floor somewhere, to try to find the classes that you have to go to. It was a total horror. And then of course, eventually became you could register online, on the phone, and then on the computer when the computer got reestablished. Okay, so I remember those days, and yeah, and then John Lennon was still alive, and 2 or 3 days after John Lennon, after my birthday, my 18th birthday, John Lennon, the singer, from the Beatles, uh, he gets assassinated. Yeah, so I was just, so it's a lot of things that I remember because the proximity. I remember that boy. Yeah, it was big news. And something I walked past, yeah, it was the Dakota. He got assassinated in his own by his own building in the foyer. Yeah, it's a luxury building, and the person was waiting for him to come home. Uh, had him sign his book or something, or album, something. He had him sign for him. It's a signature, autograph. That's what autograph. And then he leaves to go out with his wife, John Lennon, the late singer, and then the guy was waiting for him to come back home, and then he did what he did. Horrible. Yeah, it shook me because I started to get into his music, John Lennon. I know I'm getting a little bit over the place with information, but I'm giving you, the fat of the land, what was going on at the time in 1980. This is 43 years ago, approaching 43 years. My very, yeah, would have just graduated from high school. It's June now, late June. And yeah, I would have just graduated. And then in August, I got the job working for the city. And the first few days was downtown, Park Avenue South. And then it relocated 3 days later to the village. And the village is like it was the hip place, artsy, and it also had um, that other element. But back then, that other element was not. I didn't take it seriously. It was just one of those things in the peripheral, and but someone like myself, I was a young black girl, very skinny, very afraid, and it was a place where I could go and not really be bothered. But by the train station, I used to have to wait for a friend at the train station, and I would get harassed by some of the guys, the homeless guys, yeah. But outside of that, if I'm just walking around, no problem. I felt safe in that neighborhood, the village. So anyway, I had a dream today about that job, and that's what I wanted to share you about. Yeah, I feel very reminiscent. So let me begin. Yeah, when I started that job, they had me work in the correspondence department. Again, this is working for the city of New York, and they were all ladies. Yeah, I was the youngest there. I was 17 years old, and the other people, the manager there, she could have been in her 50s, and the other ladies, they could have been in their 40s. And I worked there. I was I remember. See, I was so unaware, so green. I remember once I had to go out. It was my lunch break, but I didn't wasn't able to get everything done, and back then in those days, you would run and get a pizza, a slice of pizza, and then eat it at your desk. Well, that's what I did. Totally unprofessional of me. I did that. I ran, grabbed the pizza, and I remember sitting at my desk, and the manager, I mean, I think she felt sorry for me. She walks over to me. She says, "Look, eat the pizza, but if you were at a real job, you couldn't do that." That's what she said. If you had a real job, you could do that. I mean, if this were a real job, you couldn't do that. I'm sorry. So just finish up the pizza because she saw I was trying to gobble it down. I'm a real skinny girl, had these big eyes and everything. She's cool. I liked her. I don't remember her name, unfortunately. I don't remember any of their names because I wasn't there long. And I got along with all the ladies. But I was the new kid on the block. And I probably a couple of, it was probably, the weather now was starting to get cool. Yeah, because I started in August. So this could have been September, maybe October, because I remember it was getting a little cool, and it was starting to get dark outside when we leave. Yeah, it was a 9 to 5 job. Oops. Oh God, I almost forgot my water. I have my water, my elixir. I have to finish it. I almost forgot where I put it. It was right beside. It was right beside my leg, and I forgot I put it there. I almost knocked it over. So anyway, let me repeat. Oh, that's my foot. Sorry. Yeah, my babies are here. Two of my girls are on the bed. The boy is somewhere in the room. Yeah. Okay. So what was I saying now? Yeah. So they're all women in the department, and we all got along. I was just very quiet, and I was taught how to do research in gathering information. The department handled correspondence from people, you know, uh, customers, and so so I was learning how to use different machines and the office machines, things like that. And then later on, I remember because uh, we had a new worker, and he was I think you call provisional. You would, I think that's what they're called, provisionals. These are people like helpers. They didn't take an exam or anything like that. But later on, if they want to take an exam, they have the freedom to do that. And these were people, immigrant, yeah, this was an immigrant from Jamaica, a guy, he was a skinny, tall guy, Jamaican guy. And yeah, he was married, and I'm 17 years old, and um, yeah, I remember he had wanted to go out with me. Yeah, I remember um, he was walking me to the subway. Yeah, I remember um, like even though there was a subway at the building, but it was one of those train stations. It didn't have like I didn't want to take that train because it didn't get, wasn't a direct stop to where I needed to get off. So rather than transferring, just walk to a train station that, that you didn't have to get off at. So I had to walk up. Um, it was a nice walk anyway. And I remember he accompanied me, and I remember him talking about his wife, and very, very Caribbean things he was saying. Yeah, he was poo-pooing his wife. That's your wife. I was again 17 years old. He could have been in his 30s, 40s. Um, but that's what I remember about him. And he would in the office. I remember he was standing next to. He was talking to me. And people. Not this guy, I think is what you call provisional. And I had a higher, I don't know how to word it. Like, I was a permanent staff, but he was a temporary, like a temporary staff, and they can be released at any time. They're like a backup group, backup help. Well, those ladies that I worked for, I mean, they never gave me any reason. One day I was told, oh, report to such and such department, and I went. And my new boss was a female. They had me switch to the legal department. And the first thing she says was, I don't know what you had done, but they brought you here. So, and I was like dumbfounded. I realize now, I speculate, they didn't like that the man, the provisional, they didn't like that he was talking to me. And so they moved me. I was their fellow uh, comrade, so to speak. One of the girls, yeah, they were all about the same age. Yeah, the guy was the same age as the other ladies. Yeah, and I think they were all single too. Yeah, I think they were all single women. They were, okay, the manager, either she was Italian or Jewish. Yeah, back in those days, everybody was part of an ethnic group, ethnic racial group. You had two black ladies, one heavy, one thin. The manager who could have been either Italian or Jewish, and then you had uh, a Jewish woman. She could have been her 40s. Yeah, all of them, all about in their 40s, and the manager could have been her 50s. And she had a strong person. She she would say like she's finally respected by men, something like that. Yeah, things back then. See, this is 1980, and it's not too many years since the Civil Rights Acts. The you know the I mean, I think the Civil Rights Bill was in the 1950s or something like that, or the early 60s. Let me, those who are history buffs, when was that? When was the Civil Rights Act signed? But either way, the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s was that era of so-called equality and things like that. And but all the it started similar. Oh yeah, you also had the Vietnam War, and that ended in the 1970s sometime. What was that, 1975 or 76 officially that it ended? So a lot of these people now working for the city, these were people, many of them were veterans, and the war ended. And so, with the Civil Rights Bill and everything of giving equality to not just so called minorities, but white women also. And I word it like that because it wasn't women, because if you're a black woman, you couldn't get those jobs either because you're black. So, it was really to open doors for white women and non-white people, minorities. And so that's the era that I came in. So the people were just it just what you call blue collar, real, just the basic, nothing fancy. Some of I lived in Queens at the time, the outer boroughs, but many of the people there lived in Brooklyn. A lot of the blacks there, they all seem to live in Brooklyn. Yeah, people in those days, like this was downtown Manhattan, and I think it catered to people that lived in Brooklyn because it was closer to Brooklyn than Queens. So a lot of people lived in Brooklyn and commuted to work. and then I would commute to work from Queens. So it took a while. It took a while. It took like, um, it could have been like, mm, on a good day, you can get home, 45 minutes or something like that. Sometimes even half an hour. Yeah, back in those days, it ran faster, it seemed. Yeah, they're doing a lot of repairs on the train. It needs a lot of repairs, so it's a lot of express stops, and so it takes longer. But I remember back in the day, it was pretty good. This is 43 years ago. So, yeah, so the job had this type of demographics. Um, Most of the whites were in positions of management, supervisory. But the person that got me my job was a black woman. Oh yes, you had some blacks in those days that they took the exams and all that. Yeah, when you work for the city, you take the civil service exam or something. You get in, and everybody got a job because they knew somebody. Yep. And later on, I was there for 2 years. And yeah, I had a former classmate from high school working in the department I worked in. Oh yeah, his our teacher was a social studies teacher, and he had a lot of connections, and he got him the job. Yeah, yeah. So I met we knew each other, and we used to talk. Yep. Yeah, it was a small world. It was a small world. Yeah, it was a small community. Yeah, so the new department they moved me in. Yeah, so they had me initially in the correspondence, all ladies, like in 40s and 50s, and then they brought in a skinny Jamaican guy, and the ladies evidently didn't like. Now, I wasn't, I was very shy with people back then. I wasn't interested in him in any way, but the ladies didn't like that he now this is out in the open. We're all sitting next to each other, and he was standing and he was talking to the other lady. Yeah, because his desk was all the way in the back. So he walked up and he was standing. He was talking to all of us, but they didn't like that he was standing next to me. Yes. And so they moved me. They could have moved him, but they didn't. They moved me instead. Yeah, it was a crime to be a young black woman, young, slender. Um, no, I wasn't bad looking. I was just skinny. But yeah, my looks got me in trouble. Yeah, back in the day. Yeah, I didn't know about things. I didn't understand things like that. I was very insecure in my skin. I didn't like myself. I hated myself. I was highly insecure, quiet, afraid of adults, and then, working with a whole bunch of ladies. And then for them to transfer me, and I didn't know about your rights and anything. I was never told anything. I was just told, my folks, hey, you got a job now. So and so got your job. Okay, I'm back on. I'm back on. I apologize, guys. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it still might go off. I'm only at 1%. Yeah, sorry, people. Yeah, I had to run in the other room to get my. Yeah, I had to run into the other room to get my cell phone that is charged to resume the footage. But I see, it didn't register. Like some of you are able to restart it. I was hoping on a different device, but no, it's reading as a separate video. So either way, yeah. So to resume back with the conversation, my reminiscing about this, I had a dream. My dream about my old job. So I was just explaining before the batteries went dead. The Yes, I had to report to my old job. I mean, I had to report um, at this new job I was at. my brand new job, 17 years old, and yes, in the department they had me in, I was in the correspondent department, and the ladies didn't like that, and so it was a crime to have any male talk to you. Again, I wasn't flirt. I was afraid of people. He was a married man, much older than me. He was in his could have been 30s, 40s. I was 17. Um, but either way, um, that's what happened. So I was transferred, and I admired the women there. We all got along, so it's really something that how life could happen to some young women. Yeah, yes, viewer. Yes, thank you for coming back on my phone. My iPad ran out of energy, and then I went to get my cell phone, and then my iPad started up again. So my cell phone didn't allow me to resume the original stream. I had to do a new one. Then all of a sudden my iPad would start working, and it allowed me to resume the original stream. So let me finish. Let me try to finish. I know I'm long-winded. So either way, um, so yeah, it seemed like a crime to be young, to be slim, to be naive, to be female. And I was working with all ladies, and I respected all of them. I got along with all of them. I was like the little pet, the little office pet, but don't have any guy talk to you. And that would happen a lot as time went on, different places I worked. I would be booted out of a job if anyone, a man, says hello to me immediately. See, that is how they feel. Yeah, it's how they feel. Yeah, this is in the 1980s, early 80s, and we just came out of the civil rights movement, and women now, white women, were now in the job market. Before women, women were housewives, white women were housewives, many of them, in New York City. Of course, you always had some women that worked, but basically, um, if you were a woman or married woman, uh, you had to do your work at home. I mean, you are a housewife, and you